Good afternoon. My name is Niko House, host of the political radio show Mikasa Sukasa, and I urge you all to join our One Follow $1 campaign where we show the mainstream media that we would no longer be putting up with their nonsense by donating $1. Our goal is to achieve $1 for every subscriber that we have. Myself, Hard Bastard, the Inside News Network, H.A. Goodman, and Tim Black have all been participating in this, and the results have been absolutely amazing. The outpour of love has been amazing, and I just wanted to share with you all today. Oh, also turn on the notifications. The bell. Press the bell. The bell. Yeah. I wanted to share with you all an experience that I had on Twitter. That I it's a humbling experience, and it's something it's not the first time it's happened to me, but I wanted to share it with you because I think that these experiences are something that we can all really learn from, and I think we all need to grow from it, and especially because of the mixed audience with my channel. And I also, like I said, I've talked to you all a little bit about what I want to do going forward as far as helping us kind of bridge the gap between progressives, left-leaning progressives and conservative-leaning progressives, because I don't think that we are really all that different. So I was on Twitter, and I talked today about the fact that I'm going to be boycotting the NFL, for those of you who do not know, because the NFL has made it very clear that Kaepernick is not allowed in their good old boys club if he's going to be speaking out about the plight of black people in this country. Now, that debate is not something to have for this video. That is something I'm actually going to address in another video in a day or so. But I don't want that to be the subject of the video. So the guy came and said, well, Kaepernick's a traitor. He shouldn't have done this. He shouldn't have done this. He could have went by a different way. It's the normal conservative talking points against Kaepernick. And I said, well, and I responded with, well, I'm not exactly sure what you think is happening, but black people in America are definitely, kind of suffering when it comes to police brutality, more or less, is what I said. And then he said, well, if you people would actually stop and obey, and what's the word they always say, cooperate, then maybe, you wouldn't be getting shot. And I said, well, I'm not sure, whether or not you're watching Fox News, but that's actually been proven and debunked, many times on many different occasions, on many different videos. And of course, there was an exchange back and forth, and it got actually really snappy. I'm not going to lie. Me as a black man, I'll be totally honest. It's not just about me being a progressive or even supporting Kaepernick. It's because I've been a victim of police brutality. This tooth is a cap after I was jumped by 6 cops for splitting up someone else's fight. So I was just arrested for walking on South Beach almost 2 months ago, simply because they wanted to figure out if I was selling drugs or not based off of how I was dressed. So I know these things to be true, and it has nothing to do with compliance as much as it does with stereotyping. And well, some police officers are just racist, and some suffer from PTSD and overreact. So there's a lot of different factors that influence that. And so when I explained to him, this is what, after we were snapping back and forth, and when I explained to him, that's been debunked, and here's how, he said, oh, well, I didn't know that. And then he went on to say, well, I would rather everyone just simply get along. I respect his right to do what he did. I just wish that he didn't do it right there. And then I explained to him, I said, okay, so let's just start with this point. I understand. I told him I understand where you are coming from, but he was a Marine. I said, so imagine if you're a E6 up for E7. However, you are a strong advocate of your fellow service members having more equity in the military and more benefits, which a lot of them deserve. I'm a veteran myself, so I understand. I said, now imagine a lieutenant colonel heard you talking about this as an E6. And, you're at the workplace, you're casually talking about this, but this isn't something bad. However, if anybody in the military knows, anything can be viewed as stepping out of line. And if you're an E6, if you're enlisted and you're going for the E7, the process is way different than going from E3 to E4, E4 to E5, E5 to E6. it's because of the Geneva Code that the rank is classified under. So I said he stops you from getting promoted, he flags you, and it's only because you said that you wanted more equal benefits, and for the soldiers to be treated better in your unit, because you actually care about those who you have a strong relationship with and those who have a similar experience to you. And I said, how would you feel about that? I was like, is your response going to say I shouldn't have talked about the improvement and the betterment of soldiers' lives at work? And then once I framed it in that statement, he actually said, oh, well, you know what? You had a good point. He did say, well, I just don't think most Americans will agree with his stance. And I actually explained to him, actually, yeah, they do. The proof is in the money. And I was like, I was going through all the details, which I'll go over tomorrow, because I'm going to actually do a detailed video about the Kaepernick situation. But the moral of the story is, because it's not about who's right or wrong. Now, I want you to, this is the most important part of the story. Afterwards, so it got to a point where he actually took a step back and listened. And afterwards, I actually apologized to him. I called him ignorant. I used the whole Fox News thing, and I said, you know what? I want to apologize to you, and I want to tell you thank you for actually taking the time to stand back and listen. I shouldn't have been snappy at you. You did ask a question, and my assumption is that you were asking it sincerely, and that was my fault. I shouldn't have came at you like that. And he actually reached back out to me on Twitter in public and says, hey man, you know what? I'm sorry. That was my fault. I shouldn't have done the same thing, man. We're good. And man, that moment right there for me was huge. Because the guy, he said some stuff. I'm not going to lie. That made me think like, oh, there's never going to be any way to get through to this guy. But by the end of the conversation, although we didn't 100% agree, we actually understood each other's perspectives, which to some degree is actually more important. Understanding the perspective is probably more important than actually agreeing all the time, because that's when you don't necessarily hate someone because they disagree with you, or because they have a different perspective than you have, or a different experience than you have. And it really just kind of showed me that we have progressives and conservatives, like legitimate progressive conservatives who I'm not talking about the alt-right. I'm talking about legitimate people who consider themselves conservatives. We have so much in common. We really do have a lot of the same goals. And the reason that we're very hard-headed, both sides are very hard-headed, is because we're molded by our experiences, not because we want to be hard-headed. There are a lot of conservatives out there who are conservative Christian because, well, up to recently, 70% of adults got their politics from their kids. They take their their politics from their parents. They take their religion from their parents, their religious views, their spirituality from their parents. So it is not, and things that have formed my views on police brutality are formed by the fact that I was black, that I grew up in a black neighborhood, that I saw police brutality firsthand, and was, and things like that. And I've went to a progressive college, and I've hung around mostly progressive people, where my views have been expanded. And my experiences, I'm not only speaking from my experiences, but from the experiences of those I hang around, just like he is not only going to be speaking about his experiences, but the experiences of those he was exposed to. And we can't take that for granted. But the thing is, good hearts usually shine through. And we can't keep cutting each other off at the pass with labels and attacking each other and assuming because that person is a progressive or that person's a conservative that we don't want the same goal. I know on this channel I have several Trump supporters, and I have a lot of Bernie supporters, and everything in between. But I will tell you this, I have had a much easier time having legitimate and substantive economic discussions with the right than I have ever had with the neoliberal left. I will tell you that straight up, because I've noticed that it's a different tactic, but if you keep it experience-based, don't talk about the names, don't talk about Hillary or Trump, don't talk about conservative or progressive, don't talk about left or right, Republican, Democrat, don't talk about that. Just leave it at, hey man, this is what I think because of this. These are my experiences. What are yours? These are the facts. What are the facts that you have? Maybe, one of us is misunderstanding or somebody's misrepresenting the facts. And you would be incredibly surprised to see how much ground you can cover. You know how we know this is fact? Because we saw Bernie Sanders actually do this, regardless of how you feel about him. Conservatives were coming out in droves to vote for Bernie Sanders in the primary, and we're going to show up to vote for Bernie Sanders in the general. In fact, many conservatives even came out on record and said, well, if it wasn't going to be Bernie Sanders, it was going to be Donald Trump. And if it wasn't going to be Donald Trump, it was going to be Bernie Sanders. Those were their only two options. So we know that we all have a common ground that we can meet at. And if we want to hammer out the details about how it should be done, I think that that's okay. It's good to have those conversations, but don't attack people, and let's be understanding of each other's experiences. I'm not saying let somebody walk all over you, but I'm not saying be tolerant. That's actually not even what I'm saying either, because tolerance is like you're still just kind of like you're not happy with the person's presence there, but you're going to just put up with it. No, embrace each other. Embrace your differences and use them to form a better world going forward. Because we're going to need those experiences, because we can't move forward into the future, in a way that's going to be productive unless we understand and learn from our past. And that's a fact. So I don't want to put his information out there. I don't need anybody going to attack the guy, but I want to thank that man once again, just publicly on air, to say, thank you so much, for kind of reminding me that I have a lot of work on myself to do, and to break my preconditioning about how I feel about conservatives, even though I'm very conscious of it and very aware of it, and I actually try to work on it daily. Sometimes when we get heated and we have argument, you have a contentious issue, we kind of revert back to our old selves. And so I want to thank you for helping me catch that. I want to apologize for attacking and being snappy, and I hope that we all can really use this experience going forward to be better versions of ourselves. Thank you all so much for watching. And always remember, find your balance. Peace.